What up, Proxy Table fans? How's it going? I'm Lucky
right.
Sixes. Him up there is Hyper G.
Hyper G.
And he's alright. We are here today to look at Undying Dynasties in one of our many reviews.
Dynasties or dynasties?
Dynasties.
Oh, okay.
It's official.
That's very decisive.
If you disagree with me, okay. Right, on to the next one.
You've never cared.
I've never cared. I've never cared about pronunciations, and it won't change. On to Undying Dynasties, and with a few little things to change.
Dynasties.
In the book. We move on to army model rules, and there's a big one. Straight off the bat. So a lot of the rules across the board are being simplified, and this is no different. Dust to dust. You literally just lose 1 health point with no saves of any kind.
When your general's dead.
When your Hierophant dies.
Oh, not general
which
in this
is
one.
Technically different, but I think sometimes mostly is.
Yeah.
It also, there's no switching to a new Hierophant or anything like that.
No.
So anything that you can't select anymore, it will happen. However, it's a lot less. And as we said off camera, nearly not worth bothering with whatsoever.
I think you might find opponents having to remind the player about this thing now.
Yeah,
wasn't there something that happened when I
didn't
killed
you
your
have
Hierophant?
29 skeletons last time and not 28? Yeah. So I agree with the simplification because it was a bit wordy. It's a bit meh. No,
I think so. I kind of like the idea that they protected their Hierophant.
Yeah.
And now I guess larger units or more important units losing 1 HP is more important for them. But I liked you losing like 7 zombies every turn, or zombies, wrong army. Skeletons, but you know.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I guess it's a buff for the army overall, unless it's single models. So that's going to be tough because they'll take it at the end of every.
Yes, it's going to be every turn. Start
friendly player turn. So yeah. So those big models or single unit models are really taking.
They are going to get weaker and weaker.
However, your blocks are fine. Absolutely will not matter from this at all.
No.
Moving, underground ambush has been taken out because of
it's part of special ambush.
However, the biggest difference to this, from what I can see, is that special ambush you have to be 12 inches away from a unit as a standard rule, and I think that makes the fact that underground ambush has gone worse.
Okay. Yeah. I suppose the whole entombed beneath the sands thing, Undying Dynasties were always going to be the army that had to adapt for this becoming a rulebook rule.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly of the full ramifications of this, but I don't think there was any real complaints about underground ambush as a rule. I know that they're going to a simplification, but I think it nerfs it a little bit.
Sure.
And for an already not particularly one of the top armies, I think that's a bit rubbish for them, but I don't know for sure. So if you're a UD player and you've analysed both the new special ambush and
we need help
compared to the old one, let us know how bad or how good it is in comparison. Now, I might be wrong, but
I suppose it's good in the fact that you don't have to explain to your opponent underground ambush. You just most opponents will know what special ambush is all about.
I think that's the point of taking it out. But another taking out of a rule is Mummy's Curse. And
it's just gone. Yeah,
it's really sad. I was looking. I saw this and I was like, oh, they must have it as a different rule somewhere else.
But it's just gone.
I can't see it in the book.
It's a little bit of flavour gone again, hasn't it?
Yeah, so that was a real shame for me. I really thought that was something that really yelled Egyptian mummy and like rapping and so unfortunately it's been taken out, and I think it's a bit sad personally.
I think so too.
But yes, we'll move on so that we don't all cry. The hereditary spell. Has a little bit of text added in, although I think it's just a clarification of wording. If the spell targets one or more units,
yeah, I'm interested by that.
Models with ensouled statues. So I guess for those spells that can do multiple, can this do multiple targets? It must have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a rewording anyway, not to get too hung up on it. Special items, and of course, as is tradition, we're not going to mention magic items.
No, we
magic
won't.
weapons have their magical attacks taken off them because it's in standard rule in the rule book. We won't. That's not something we're going to mention on this,
No.
Or any of the reviews actually.
No.
So we otherwise the blue text is just a rewording for the weapon enchantments. Banner enchantments, underground ambush, as we said, is now special ambush, and it's more than 12 inches away from the enemy, which is what we've seen from.
It's an interesting one that because Undying Dynasties had underground ambush, and it was explained at the start of the book. On this occasion, they're having to add more text in because of special ambush.
Yes, yes, very interesting.
But in every other army,
so rather than special ambush forests or special ambush, river, whatever. It's more than 12 inches away from any unit. And I think that makes it slightly worse than what it was before.
I would say so.
But it is points-wise, it's still there. It's still probably more flexible than all the other ambushes. So
I mean, with special ambush, you can still move after you've come up, can't you? So I guess you've still got some movement. You're not definitely going to be 12 inches away by the end of it, but still.
The biggest change in the items section, or at least until the thing, is the Sacred Hourglass, and it's a bit of a nerf again, I'm afraid. It's gone down from 135 to 100, but it's now only the first failed casting attempt, rather than every. You may reroll every.
I mean, attempt. Obviously the Saurians had a similar effect with their item that allowed you to re-roll a dice in every magic phase, including your opponents. And it just got changed to only your player turn or whatever. But it seems like the few items like this have been nerfed across the board.
And even further to that, it's only of a spell type augment, which to me sounds much more points than 35. If I'm honest, I think this sounds like it should go down quite a bit.
On it. I mean, there's not many items in the game that you're paying 100 points for. And it's incredible.
Yeah, sad. I think it's sad to see it nerfed, but clearly it was being used a lot. But I almost don't think the points have dropped too enough from what it sounds like. So that's a shame. Onto the second page, there's nothing else changed, so that's really your only change, which is a shame. Going into Monarchs of Undeath, it explains about special ambush in there. Then we move on to the Pharaoh, and we have a points change in that it's gone down 5 points. I don't think Mummy's Curse was only worth 5 points either. I mean, talking about fluff, it's a bit of a shame that Mummy's Curse is gone. But mechanically, it's got to be worth more than 5 points. If you kill it, you take all them AP 10 stuff. I'm not sure. But that's
maybe it was
essentially
going down 5 points anyway. Mummy's Curse just had to go. But
maybe. But yeah, it's the same. Same with the no mark. 5 point change. Mummy's Curse is gone. Otherwise, works all the same. Tomb Harbinger has gone down by 15 points, but it's lost its Royal Guard thing. So dueling shenanigans, basically. Again, it just seems like UD's losing a lot of flavour and getting a tiny bit cheaper, but not really too much to affect the army. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think UD are next in the whole army books queue, are they? In any way, shape, or form. So it's interesting to see so much of their additional rules being taken out.
Yeah.
When they're not due a big update, but yeah.
Yeah. The Arc of Ages as a mount has gone down on the Death Cult Hierarch. I think, if I remember rightly, it goes down as well as a unit, so clearly overpriced and somewhat, but getting cheaper, so we can at least have that. Otherwise, it's just a rephrasing for the other book. Hierophant has gone up, though, to 35 points rather than 15. Oh, no. If you're... Yeah, so it's gone up to 35 points as standard. There is no option for the 15 points if you're not a Wizard Master, for example. You have to be a Wizard Master to become a Hierophant, which I think is fair enough. Actually. The Casket of Fatep has gone down by 10 points, which is cool. But again, it's lost its Mummy's Curse-esque rule. So if you kill it, there is no Strength 1 AP 10 hit, or hits, plural. Which is, again...
I guess maybe it was a bit too clunky when things were being removed, but that was kind of their thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see... And again, 10 points isn't a lot for that, because that is,
it's quite a good thing to do.
Cavalry, who could get to it quite quick, would...
Yeah, you could take out that chaff unit that's caused you to lose your casket.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought... I think that's a bit of a shame overall so far.
Yeah, we need to pick ourselves up.
I know. We need some good stuff. We need some good stuff. So far, it's not looking great. In terms of the mounts, the Arc of Ages has lost Well of Souls.
I think that one was a bit clunky. Possibly either forgotten about or not played correctly or a bit of a burden.
Yeah, so the... what's it called?
It was the extra veil card, wasn't it?
The Death Cult Hierarch has something similar to that, but it in Soul Conduit. But yeah, it's fair enough. I wasn't too keen on it as a rule anyway.
It was a relatively new rule for Undying Dynasties in the grand scheme of things, wasn't it? It hadn't been there forever. Not too fussed about that one, strangely.
Yeah. Skeletons are the same, archers are the same, skeleton cavalry are the same, skeleton scouts are the same. The chariots are different. Probably, again, not for the best of reasons. They've lost the additional +1 impact hit if they've got someone behind them.
Right.
Which is the chariot host gone. But it does take out a whole load of text, so I get why they've done that. The Resurrect has gone from 3 to 2.
Yeah, which is a nerf.
But they're 5 points cheaper.
Right.
And 4 points for extra.
I mean, it was pretty powerful being able to resurrect that many skeleton chariots.
Again, they've got 260 now instead of 265 and 70 instead of 74. So I like the roundness.
I was going to say
that. But again, it just seems like they've taken out stuff for a minor price reduction. So
is the Legion Charioteers cost changed much? Because that one's 11 points. I mean,
so it used
I bet you're not happy about
that. It used to be 16 down to 11, so that's I would take that. Yeah, no, they could get out to 10. Come on. You've done so well.
Just stayed at 15.
You've done so well otherwise, but come on. The Legion Charioteers might be better, so there's that. But little bits of subtle taking out of. However, our first real positive Necro Guard stay exactly the same and get Resurrect 4 instead of 3. Hooray!
That's pretty big, yeah.
It's not even my army. I'm getting disappointed. It's not even an army I play. But yeah, so that's good. We are on the right track, folks. Tomb Cataphracts have got different, just a rewording, a special ambush on 12 inches away. The Shabties have stayed the same. Great Vultures have stayed the same. Scarab Swarms are different in that they're cheaper. So they're 110 and 40 instead of 120 and 44. That's good. However,
but they have lost support attacks,
which is the theme, I guess. In this, they've lost. It says extra support 3, but it used to be 5 because he used to.
So that's why they're cheaper.
So yeah, again, they've got cheaper. you're seeing slightly more of stuff, but they're losing a lot of their rules. So yeah, Shabti Archers have gone to 95. Clearly, whoever was changing these things was my way of thinking, because it used to be 93.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
They've gone up, but it's just to make everything.
Was it you? Was it you, and you just forgot to do the Chariot Legionnaires?
No, I wouldn't be this scathing if it was.
True. Yeah.
Sandstalkers have got cheaper though, so 15 points down, and extra models are 4 points more expensive, but it takes us to around 60. The Petrifying Gaze has changed though somewhat. It used to be against the target's agility. I've been playing D&T too much. Agility instead of resilience. It's now just a standard. If you're standard height, large height, or gigantic, so it's not based on the agility, which is interesting because I don't think a lot of monsters had a high agility.
No,
and now it seems like it's more scathing against the smaller units. So the way it used to work is you used to get D6 plus 1, strength 2, AP 10, quick to fire hits, and not you'd roll the D6 and roll to hit. Now they're just auto hits, but there's only 2 of them, still AP 10, and instead of any strength or anything like that, it's 4 plus for standard, 5 plus for large, and 6 plus for gigantic. I think this hurts cavalry the most.
I'd say so.
Anything.
Especially with the AP10, and they're the ones that usually have the armor.
And I guess it was AP10 before, so cavalry was the most. But I mean, elf is an elf cavalry killer for sure.
I hate that elf killer phrase. It just pops up everywhere.
Well, I mean, with rolling against, used to be rolling against agility. It's definitely changed in the way you use it, and the different you'll have different targets. So I don't know the reason behind this. I don't know whether it's because they were struggling with a certain type of army, like the standard cav, for example, or small units of standard height things. But
it's getting tall as well.
Interestingly. For what it's worth. But yeah, I don't. For me, it has changed it very much because a lot of monsters that I can think of off the top of my head wouldn't have had a high agility, and obviously things that used to have a high agility now it is irrelevant. So demons, this will actually be pretty good against, although the AP10 is a bit meh. So off the top of my
different.
Head, yeah, it is different, and this is one of the first major changes, I guess, in the book, in terms of how things work. That and the dust to dust, I guess. Charnel Catapult has got cheaper, but it's a 5x5 rather than either a 4x4 or a 6x6. So make of that what you will. It's pretty good though. The weapon always hits on a roll equal to or greater than its aim. Isn't that always?
That's a UD thing.
Oh right, yeah, sure. Oh yeah, okay.
It doesn't suffer modifiers
it's set
effectively.
Thing. Yeah, sure. Panic tests are -1 discipline, so it's sort of combining the two options and making it a round 5x5 rather than 4x4.
I think a few things have had that effect done to them, and it's fine.
But it has got cheaper, I guess, for the versatility and for the nicheness of it all. As far as I can tell, it's lost the multiple wounds, which is probably the biggest loss.
Oh, right, sure.
Used to have multiple wounds on the 4x4 one.
Right, which is why you would choose that one.
Yeah. So, and again, interesting. It's I can't remember any other war machines from UD that really do any multiple wounds, so that is a bit.
No, yeah. If they've lost that ability to do multiple wounds across the army, then that's not great.
Yeah. So these catapults, I mean, should go probably a bit cheaper because of that, because multiple wounds was a big.
Yeah,
thing.
Although effectively though they are still pretty good.
Yeah, 180 is not bad.
Against units.
Yeah, again, it means that you're always going to be going against blocks, really.
Hey, it's an elf killer, right?
It's an elf killer. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But yeah. Entombed category, the Sand Scorpion has just gains the special ambush, as we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
Master Menagerie, there is only one change from what I can see, which is Tomb Reaper, which has got 10 points cheaper on both the starting cost and the additional models. However, again, it was like a backhanded compliment. The Resurrected gone from 2 to 1.
Sure.
So there's a pro, but there's always a con.
There is. And those are your kind of models that are going to lose out. Oh, no, that one, they don't have dust to dust, do they, actually?
No, it's just on the resurrect value. So when you do spells and stuff. Yeah, I mean it's slightly cheaper, so you might get. I mean everything is slightly cheaper, and I say slightly cheaper because it's not enough for like an extra model in that thing. But you might get one extra big dude because of all the little costs. So you're probably going to get bigger armies, ever so slightly. From UD. No change in the Colossus, and that
Colossus.
Colossus, which is good because that's a good model. Which takes us to the end of our review. And apologies if it was a bit negative. There is a lot of change in this one, more than most actually. But it feels like while things have got
Flavors
cheaper,
going.
yeah, flavors changed a bit in this. The big two changes I think overall are the Dust to Dusk and the Sandstalker change. Mechanically, they're going to be very, very different.
And the Mummy's Curse.
And the Mummy's Curse is for sure a flavour thing. Let us know, I guess, if you're using Sandstalkers and that drastically changes. Does the change now fill a gap that you were struggling with before? I guess you shouldn't be overdrawn the loss of D3 from the catapult as well. But yeah, everything has got slightly cheaper, so you might be able to get a bit more in than you were before, which is nice. And yeah, really, we're just looking for comments on whether you thought the changes are as negative as they might be positive.
Yeah, maybe people, UD players, were getting hung up at tournaments or having to explain these additional rules after things died, and maybe people were just like, it's not going to do anything to you anyway, so why have it? But
yeah, so let us know in the comments for sure if you're a UD player or if you're not a UD player, what you think of the changes, whether they've hit the mark or missed drastically as well. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe. We've got plenty more reviews coming. And I guess see you later, right?